doesn't end well unless it ends. Can't just report the fucking obvious.
I don't care what a critic got to say, I got them picking up the pieces. That me, you really playing with your life, I'm about to come and
Just
run
a motherfucking jump. Just go. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy, and the other fucking guy ready to go, pulling up our stories for the morning to share with you is Leo. Leo, good morning to you.
Good morning, man. How are you doing today?
Which ghost you got this morning?
I have the raspberry cream.
That's pretty good.
I've learned to really enjoy this one. Not gonna lie. When I first tried it, it was all right. But now the more I've tasted it, the more I really enjoy it. So definitely on my top list.
That company's on my top list.
I agree.
Killer, man. They're killing it. So, basketball started last night.
Did it really?
NBA.
The NBA?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I placed 2 bets, 2 6 same game parlays.
Mm-hmm.
One hit, one was 5 out of 6. Pretty close. I was off by 1 player's, I forget the player. I was off by 2 rebounds.
For the Thunder game or the Warriors?
The Thunder game I won. The Thunder game I won, even though the MVP had a little bit of a slow start. He still ended up with over 30. Dude killed it at the end, and it was double overtime. So that was a good start for the NBA. And a good start for me. Between the two, I won one, I lost one, but then the one I won more than I lost between the two. It covered that little bet on there. So yeah. And hockey, I won my first hockey bet. I bet on Vegas. So it's been pretty good. My trend has been on the upside.
Nice.
That's after I had a horrible Saturday. Like I got wiped out. All my gains on my new bet got wiped out. Like I made like 200 and ended up losing 200 all in the same day because I tried to make a quick bet with $100 in an in-game bet and got snagged. Like fuck. Sometimes I try to do that, where it's totally a game changer when you do that. Because it may have started out where the team was a 3-point favorite, and now they're up by 14, and maybe the spread's 13.5, and there's 4 minutes to go. Are they going to maintain that, or is the other team going to kick a field goal, narrow it down? So sometimes I'll bet on those. They tend to be a little exciting at the end of the game, and sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm not, but it's been working out pretty good, at least. So, yeah, Monday Night Football was good to me, so I'm digging that. Yeah, Monday Night Football, man, the Lions were phenomenal, brother, phenomenal. Against a really, really good Tampa Bay team. It was an exciting game, really exciting game. I bitch about this now and then, and I'll bitch about it really quickly here. I don't like it. I didn't realize. So one of the players scored a touchdown, and just where he was standing there, he was almost right under the goal. He takes a couple steps and dunks on the goalpost.
Okay.
And you've seen that in the past.
Yeah.
Well, that's a penalty. And the reason it's a penalty is because some dude back in, 2010, 2012 did that, and they had to stop the game because the goalpost got out of whack. Now, seriously, if somebody, unless you're on it, hanging, jumping, should that goalpost really be out of whack? That's really his fault. That sounds to me like a faulty fucking goalpost, or somebody didn't do their job on the goalpost, right? But somebody just wristing a ball over and not hanging on it. Like, That's a penalty. They had to have a long extra point, which was made, which is shitty. But I still come back to the whole thing with the defense. The defense can make an interception anywhere on the field, and the whole fucking team runs down to the end zone for a photo op. No penalty. You're not showing anybody up. I just don't understand the difference between the two. I really, really don't. Why is it okay to do
slamming the post?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can understand because, like, I mean, even in like basketball and stuff like that, you have those situations where, I mean, Shaq's broken multiple backboards and stuff like that. Like, although, yeah, I mean, a football frame is much.
This is a little tiny skinny ass wide receiver.
I get 100% what you're saying, but I would have to say that the difference is that although they are small people, they have the opportunity of fucking it up one way or another.
This was the other game. They actually 2 games now on Monday Night Football, which is also fucking awesome.
It wasn't this game. It was the Lions game.
It was the Lions Tampa Bay game.
Gotcha. But yeah, I mean, same thing with like a soccer post or like anything like that. Like the small, although like. To most people, it might seem like a very minute difference, like a very small difference.
It's a celebration.
No, the celebration.
Either allow the celebrations or don't allow the celebration.
No, I think it's more of like, again, like if you're like
one time it happened, they had to fix the thing.
Exactly.
And they must make backboards better now.
100%. They made the rims, the backboards, the support system,
because it wasn't
everything better.
It was who was
it was
the
Shaq.
best? There was another guy that used to break rims. Who used to break rims besides Shaq? I think it began with a D. I think they used to call him Chocolate Thunder. Is it the 76ers? Shit, I'm really digging deep into my brain now trying to pull that file out. That's a dusty file. Would they be... Would you be allowed to say that today?
Chocolate Thunder?
Yeah.
I'll see why not.
Uh-huh. Just depends. When was the last time somebody broke a backboard?
I had to guess 2010.
Well, it says LeBron broke one. I don't remember LeBron breaking one.
I don't remember that either.
Yeah. Broke the backboard. 93.
I don't know. I'm so used to
How
typing.
Was that? I thought it said that LeBron did.
See, that's what I'm saying. I don't. Yeah, April '93. Shaquille O'Neal.
So, like I said, they fixed it. Fix the fucking goalpost and let them fucking dunk on the goalpost if they want.
Yeah, exactly. See, that was going to be my point afterwards. Yeah. It's like if you're going to allow people to do that, just make your shit better.
Well, if you're going to allow people to do this dance celebration where the whole fucking team runs down the field into the end zone, that's not a delay of game. You can't do your little pose in the middle of the field or whatever. I don't know. I'm not against it. I know a lot of old people like me don't like that stuff. And, you know.
It was a high school game, by the way, that James broke the backboard.
Okay.
That's why.
That makes sense.
I mean, there's even a video of it.
Is there? Let's see. All right. I'm digging that. Oh.
The edit's crazy.
I don't know. Isn't that more that he pulled the rim off?
I was about to say it's more the rim than the backboard.
That's more. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I remember those days because, like I said, he came and played, and his team came and played in Toledo during the high school playoffs. It was a big deal. So, like, he was a big deal. I probably became aware of him his junior year in high school.
Okay.
That's when I first had heard about the legend of LeBron James.
Yeah, I had no idea who.
Dude, I don't know why. I don't know about my Lakers. I honestly don't.
Oh, no. They're struggling.
I just don't know about. Well, I just don't know about LeBron continuing one more year. Like, I just want to be done with the era. I'm sorry.
I think it's all money. Got to get the fans in one last season.
Maybe.
Up the prices so people know it's going to be your last chance to see LeBron play.
I'm over it.
I
want my Lakers to move on. That's what I want. And I as far as the Suns go, I don't know. We'll probably go to a few games, but that'll be about it. I don't think they made any changes on the team.
I don't.
It just
believe
sucks. So. It does. So yeah, that was it. We're not doing another sports show today. Because I do want to get to this because it's interesting. I absolutely love how the left is just literally melting down every single day. And can they really keep this up for the full 4 years? And I think it's a yes. I think they can. Just everything bothering them. And the latest thing is the renovations to the White House. And so all over you see the picture of the back or the east wing of the White House of being demolished, because that's what you do. You do demolition. It's the first thing you do in construction on an existing structure is tear shit out before you rebuild. And that's what they're doing. And this isn't Trump's house. I mean, it's the people's house, and how dare he? And you would think that this was the only time and first time that anybody's ever done anything to the White House. And I didn't really think about it, but it's not. And there's a meme going around, and you know how I am with memes. I don't believe 90% of them, so I fact check them. And I fact checked this one, and it turned out to be pretty accurate. And it was accurate in the way that it described it, put opinion in there, but it was listing the different presidents throughout history that have done things. So I put this, the whole thing in there, and I always ask it, I said, is this true? But remember, it's how you ask questions and then how you do follow-up. Because it was a post related to Hillary Clinton and what she had to say, and the post hit back at her with what had been done to the White House. There was a time, I don't know, 1812, 1814, when the White House was burned down and they had to rebuild it. That was the first full reconstruction.
Yeah, but that's because it broke down. Not because you're wanting to.
Of course, absolutely. Of course, absolutely. They then added, it does have people ask, they don't know, there is currently a ballroom.
Yes.
What Trump is doing is building a bigger ballroom because the current ballroom holds about 250 people, and the new one is going to hold like 650. And they have to have a lot of events outside in a tent. And it is Washington, D.C. They do get snow. They do have 4 seasons. It makes it more limited. So that is part of it. In the 1900s, they built a Victoria Museum. It took Theodore Roosevelt to rip down partitions, to rip out garish decor, and expand the building for modern presidency. There's probably gold, like Trump did. It would be interesting to know what it really looked like back then. And he added the West Wing. There was no West Wing. So Roosevelt added the West Wing.
And Taft enlarged.
And part of the post that's not accurate is saying that nobody complained then. Actually, there were critics. There's always critics. There's always critics. But he's defacing history, Roosevelt. And now, 100 years later, it's the West Wing. I mean, they made a TV show out of it.
I don't know.
That was very, very popular. Oh yeah, West Wing was huge. I wasn't a watcher, but it was huge. Then came Harry Truman. The floors were sagging, and so they gutted the entire interior, leaving just the shell, and rebuilt it and put in steel beams and other things then. Let's see what after that. So there was, I thought it had. All right. Calvin Coolidge added a third floor. Nixon put in a bowling alley. I think he bowled with Elvis. I think there's pictures of that. Yeah. Carter, this makes sense, installed solar panels.
That's actually kind of smart.
Back in the 70s, that's when the whole solar thing started. We could talk about a little bit about green energy today too. Reagan ripped out his solar panels and revamped the communications room. Barack Obama, there was, I don't know what it was. Was it a tennis court or whatever? But he changed it to a basketball court. Even the Clintons had some redesigns. And now we have a president who's adding a ballroom and doing it with private money. This is not taxpayer money that this is being done with, which I think is awesome. And it's going to be something that's going to be around forever. I think that's what they don't like, is that Trump is going to get credit for this, as long as it stays like this for 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, that it was Trump that added the ballroom. And, it's great for future presidents, though. It's great to be able to host people from other countries. It's also probably better for security. I don't know. I think I'd rather have them in the interior and have them involved in all this than, I don't know, just being outside.
I don't know.
It's not safer being in a tent.
Yes and no. I guess it depends on the situation.
Yeah. You don't like the ballroom?
I think it's really stupid, but that's me. I'm a little bit on the younger side. I think spending that much money on a ballroom is kind of stupid, but again, that's just me.
But it's not government money.
Yeah. But even still, you're
what? Because what should they do with the money?
A lot they can do with the money instead of building a ballroom, but
yeah, but that's their right to do as private citizens.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm just in my personal opinion, that's stupid.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I love that they're doing it, and I love that the left is all upset about it, and newspapers, everybody, let them be upset. It's being done now. There ain't no stopping it now.
You can't do anything about it. Yeah, facts.
They can't stop it now. I'm all good. So, I don't know. I don't know if we have a name for it yet.
I think
we'll just call it until then, we'll just call it the Big Beautiful Ballroom. Oh, I'm good. I'm good with that.
So we still don't know who's funding it, though.
Who's what?
Funding the ballroom?
I don't know.
Because it is private, but he said that he didn't mention who exactly is funding it.
Yeah,
getting a little secret.
Get into your mic. Yeah, put in there. Put in who is. I'm okay with that.
No, it said the last article that I was reading said that he didn't specify that to this date we still don't know exactly who's funding it.
But it's not a personal gift.
No.
You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of times we don't know who funds.
Yeah, I don't know. Especially
I
especially when things get a little secret. Like, who wouldn't want to take credit for that, right? Especially if it's at the White House. Like, see, and that's when things start to get a little. Again, I like to get on the controversy side. The conspiracy side.
I don't want to ask them. I want to.
Oh, chat. I always forget that. That's
I don't want fucking Google. Google doesn't help. And who's funding the ballroom in the White House? See, it does have a name, the State Ballroom.
They could have done so much better. State Ballroom. That's what you got.
I know.
That's a little bland.
Trump didn't come up with that.
It's a little bland. They need to fix that for sure. Directly from Donald Trump himself and other Patriot donors. Still unclear. Private donors involved in the list of donors precise breakdown. Public code. So I don't care if they say or don't say. I personally don't care either, but my conspiracy hat for sure would like to know who these private donors are.
Yeah, and I'm not against that disclosure.
Because I don't
Honestly.
know. Is it weird to think that something so prestigious as the White House is getting built this huge? Because it's a pretty big ballroom, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just, again, I like to throw my conspiracy hat on, so I don't know. Sounds weird to me. Sounds like there's something afoot.
Yeah, but
I don't know what. I really don't know what. I don't know what.
I don't know what that would be.
I don't either.
So I think it's more of just the environment that we're in, and just some of these donors, I'm sure, still have ties to maybe even public companies, and they just don't want the backlash. That how could you support Trump and do this or do that? You know what I mean?
I get you.
Some people care, some people don't. Some people like to support things under the radar.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that kind of thing. And it's brutal. It's vicious right now. The things that people are saying or being accused of saying, and you have in these different races, you have the one in Virginia with the attorney general who the race for attorney general, who said he wanted to see his opponent, get a couple of bullets, and his kids, actually put that in writing. When people talk about private messages and that people shouldn't, I guess, have a problem with people releasing private messages, you just have to know and be smart enough, and I don't know how people aren't, that there's certain things you shouldn't put in writing. You just shouldn't. I mean, I'm shocked on a fairly regular basis when we have something that goes on and they collect the evidence and they collect people's emails, some of the dumb shit that people put in emails. Even going back to, let's use COVID, the conversations back and forth between different people that were influencing policy. It's like, whatever your stance on it is, some of this stuff, putting that in an email, you're an idiot. It doesn't, text, I'd rather attack you or say something to you verbally, and especially if I'm really sure that it's not being recorded.
Yeah, but then you can't be held accountable.
What's that?
Then you can't be held accountable.
Exactly. That's the point. That's the point. Most of these people don't want to. You don't want that. You don't want to be held accountable.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd prefer to live in a world where people be held accountable.
Yeah, but you can't require people to. We're not looking at this the same way. I'm looking at it from the point of view that of the person doing it, whether what they're doing is good or bad. It's not the point. The point, especially when they're doing
smart.
bad,
You're just talking about
that it's
smart.
not smart to put it in writing.
Gotcha.
Especially if you're saying, why would you, if you really are a racist, why would you put that in writing? But I guess I have, based on another situation where somebody made some rhetorical statements, because I've done this. Mm-hmm. I've done this on social media where I was in back and forth with some liberal nutball, right? And I would say, yeah, they call me something. Yeah, I'm also a cult member, white supremacist, racist. So is that me admitting that, or is that me being sarcastic and being?
I mean, if you're saying it verbally, then obviously you hear the sarcasm.
Right, but you kind of know that with who you're talking to. But people will take that out of context as well.
Oh yeah, people are stupid.
But still, emails and stuff, the things that people put in writing, I hate emails. I just do.
That's fair.
I put very little in email. I don't like to communicate that way. And the other thing is, it's too slow. Emails are slow. I mean, how many times are you waiting for a text like, look, dude, you just called me. I called you back. You didn't answer. Now I'm texting you. Now you're waiting for a response back. And you can be impatient with texts. With emails, it's 10 times worse.
That is fair. No, honestly, because then the emails get lost. And,
I don't know. I'm not a fan of communicating or doing business in emails.
No, I get that.
I don't. But there are some people that live and die by their emails. I mean, that's
yes, there is.
There is. I guess I'll give it to them. It's not for me, for sure. Yeah, whatever. What else? University professor urges white allies to mirror mass murderer and activism. This person's going to be fired. Howard University professor calls on white political allies. What the fuck just happened? Oh, damn ad. I hate that. You know what I really hate about some of these ones is like they pop up these stupid games. Who's playing those games?
You'd be surprised.
I guess I would be.
They're there for a reason.
I play zero games like that. Calls on white political allies to emulate vigilante mass murder. Far left university professor who called for white allies of the leftist political cause to mirror a pre-Civil War era vigilante mass murderer who was eventually hanged for his crimes. Stacy Patton is professor of journalism at the Washington, D.C. private school in a recent blog titled, John Brown Didn't Ask Enslaved People How to Be a Good White Ally. She discouraged white liberals from asking her how to be a better ally to minorities and encouraged them instead to emulate Brown. Brown was a militant slave abolitionist during the pre-Civil War, Bleeding Kansas period. In 1856, he orchestrated a massacre, and fellow abolitionists dragged 5 Kansas settlers, and at least 3 of whom were pro-slavery sympathizers, out of their homes and executed them. That's not a call for violence. I don't know what is. She wrote, he saw the horror for what it was and decided that ending this fascist fuckery mattered more than being understood. Later in the piece, she conceded that white allies don't have to die like Brown. If you don't want to die like Brown, fine, but understand that somebody always does. What else? Oh, that was related to that far left gun club. He was contacted, declined to comment. There you go. That's where we're at right now. That kind of shit. Kind of crazy. For sure. I sent you some things, didn't I?
Correct.
Yeah. Let's do some of the things I sent you.
Got the steroids and
let's do the WINSOME SEARS and then we'll do the steroids. Because this is another election that is being an eye is being kept on, and there's been some things. WINSOME SEARS is campaigning for governor. She's currently the lieutenant governor of Virginia. So, yeah, let me read that. WINSOME Earl Sears, defiant Monday after her latest during the football game over Old Dominion, JMU and Old Dominion. She's been targeted with racist invective here, apparently more than just this time. A protester recently confronted her with a sign suggesting she use a segregated water fountain. And this is all coming from Democrats. This is, I tell you, you know who really gets treated bad is black conservatives. They really, really get targeted. I thought Democrats were supposed to love everyone, and just to be clear, I'm Jamaican. And I think he told her to go back to Haiti, which is a shithole country, by the way. But that she's not from there. And it wouldn't matter if she was. I've been called names no one should ever hear, and I've watched people hold racist signs meant to shame me, and because I have an R next to my name, few care. Yeah, that is true. Like, if she was a Democrat and this was being done to her, it would be on CNN. It would be on MSNBC. Well, they did boot the dude, and he's not welcome back there. I don't just understand that random shit at like a football game. But
I've heard some crazy shit out of sports. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
it's just not cool. It's dumb. I don't know. I think she's got a good chance of winning, actually. And the dude got fired too. People like the internet is a badass when it comes to this. He worked for a defense contractor that was associated with Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin got on it and contacted the contractor, and the contractor quickly relieved that person of his job.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They don't want. I wouldn't want somebody for sure like that working for me.
If they were the best worker you had?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody's not replaceable. Everybody's replaceable. And yeah, that just crosses a line for me. I'm different in that way. I definitely, and I don't even really have any rules about that shit, but I only have a few people, but it's good. But no, I wouldn't want people saying that kind of stuff, and certainly not where it was public like that. Nah, that's just over the line for me by a lot. And is it worth really losing your job over? Maybe it was the alcohol. I'm sure alcohol was involved in doing it. But did the alcohol just lower your inhibitions to let the real you out? That how you really feel? Yeah, the guy holding the peace sign, he's the one that said it. And he's kind of old to be losing his job. Finding another job at that age
Rough.
might be a little rough, right? And how do you disclose that to a new employer? Because maybe you get hired and 2 months later they find out, they might be like, dude, we don't want that guy. You're not a fit here.
I remember in school, it was like they made it like, because we were that weird in between where it wasn't like technology wasn't taking over yet, but it was definitely super prevalent or whatever. They made sure to let us know as students that to be careful about your digital footprint. Like that, I remember like taking a few classes where they're like, just keep this in mind. Like, I know this internet stuff is fairly new, but whatever you say, whatever you do, whatever you post online is there forever. So your employers and everything like that, they will find it one way or another. Just because you think it's dead and buried somewhere does not mean it is. So be careful what you do post and say online.
The really smart people with that shit can find shit that was deleted
very easily. I can do it, and I'm not even that smart. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, that's why I could never run for office. I've used the C word. But whatever words I've used,
yeah,
that one's
all right.
Yeah, but then I'd be a misogynist, though, you know?
Wear it with pride.
Yeah, the rules are changing. Maybe I could. No, you know what the number one reason why I would never do any of that shit? I wouldn't want to take the pay cut.
Fair.
And then to make money, you have to be a slime ball, right? Because they don't get paid dick. You know, people, that's another thing people complain about since we're on it. You know, the cost of Trump golfing or whatever it is. A lot of presidents have golfed. Obama golfed. Trump golfed last time. And the cost is going to go up for sure from president to president.
And inflation.
Yeah, just general inflation. And not just that. Now that we've had another attempt on Trump's life like that, the additional security in place, that costs a lot. But the thing is, we're paying for that. No matter who the president is, whether they go to the golf course or the beach, like Biden used to like to go to the beach a lot. I didn't care. Go to the beach, dude. I don't care. But it's round the clock. They have to do this. They have to protect the president wherever he's at. Whether he's at the golf course or whether now they don't have to buy, rent golf carts, right? When they're at the White House or doing something else. But there's other costs. There's just going to be costs. And I just don't care about that. I just don't. I want every president to be protected. Democrat or Republican. I want them to be protected.
$6 million in 8 months is great. How much does security cost?
Well, it's Secret Service, dude. It's a lot. I don't know what they put in I don't know, it can be flights, right? Transportation, the, pilots, the housing, depending on where they're at, the hotels.
Oh, because they have like Air Force One.
Yeah. You start breaking it down, well, it was used for this or whatever. But money-wise, didn't we look it up? Wasn't it $400,000 or $500,000 that the president makes? And Trump gives his away, and you might think that's nothing, but it is something.
Can I ask you, is there a difference between what he makes and what he's able to spend? Because like all this was not his personal account. So
right.
So all of it is taxpayer.
Yeah, ask it. I have looked at that before. There are some things that a president has to pay himself. What types of expenses are not covered for a president that they have to come out of pocket? Because I heard Hillary even talk about that one time. and some of it was food and stuff. I think it's different if they're hosting something versus if it's just them, getting the White House kitchen that night or whatever. There might be a difference. Yeah, his personal money that's not giving us what we want.
Don't have public reliable breakdowns of how much he personally spends on his own golf outing or even.
Yeah, but that's related to golf. I was just talking about in general, what expenses are, not, because you figure all transportation is covered, whether you're driving or flying, right? Because you don't drive yourself anywhere.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
It's still going to.
Oh, sorry, I was reading.
Yeah, it's just going on. But and then again, like I said, you'd have to compare it to what would it be otherwise? Just the cost for a day in the life of the president, where what does it cost to protect the president in a day? And every day is not the same, but I'm just talking a typical day at the White House versus a day on the golf course, and they may not have breakdowns of that kinds of stuff, but my point is, that's not a direct benefit that goes into a person's pocket. Obviously, it's great if you don't have to pay for transportation and that's covered for you, because you couldn't afford it on $400,000 or $500,000 a year. You couldn't afford to fly private. You can't fly Air Force One and pay for that out of your pocket.
Service estimated about $1 million a day. So when he's at that White House or nearby, about $1 million a day for Secret Service, security, infrastructure, and maintenance is about 150 to 300K a day, and then local movement about 50.
Think about that, just to move. How important it is to protect the leader of the free world, whoever it is, Obama, Trump, like 50 to 100,000 to, go across town.
So a regular day, anywhere from 1.2 to 1.5 million. Domestic travel, 3 to 5 million, and foreign travel, 10 to 20 plus. Wow.
That's what I'm saying. That's not golf. That's what I'm saying. There's costs anyways. So just to get mad about the golf is kind of dumb.
Yes and no. I do believe there's a history of presidents spending like dumb things, and I get it. You're the president. You do what you want to do.
Yeah, you're going to do what you want to do.
Taxpayer money, that's crazy.
But where else is it going to come from?
His personal bank account. Like if he wants
to golf, he has to pay for the $1 million of security for the day when they'd have to cover it anyway.
I'm sure that there's like a way that they can like do.
This isn't a Republican thing. This is this is all presidents.
I know. I'm just playing a little bit of devil's advocate.
Yeah, that's.
But it is. Those numbers are crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
like
they are crazy,
when you do read that, that is crazy.
Especially for a guy who's making $400,000 or $500,000 a year.
No, but he makes so much more than that. He himself makes so much more than that.
Well, sure, but this is the job he's getting paid for.
Yeah,
and that job is not. Look, you're telling me we have a football coach who just got fired from Penn State, whose bailout is $50 million to go away.
Yeah.
And you have a president.
But that's not taking out of taxpayer money. That's slightly different situation. I get what you're saying, but slightly different.
It's a public university. They get government money.
You're telling me the 50 mil is taxpayer money that the coaches get?
I'm not directly, but some of that money from the university comes from that, and then some from their endowments, and then some from tuition, right?
Gotcha.
How else is a university going to make money but those three ways? Right? It's going to be those three ways. But it is a public university. So, yeah, directed money. But that's why football is so important, because if you have a top program, it can pay for a lot of other programs. It can pay for the football and pay for other sports. That doesn't happen at every school, but at the very biggest ones, it does. I'm just saying, well, there was news. There's more talk about Elon Musk and the pay package that he is set. He hasn't been paid, I guess, on the current pay package that he has, but they're trying to set his next pay package for like the next 10 years. And with everything that he could get, now this is stock options and that kind of stuff, they're looking at $1 trillion. And so people are like, oh my God, it's $1 trillion. But when you look at what his last package was and what he did and had to perform to meet that package, it was a results-driven package. Like, if you do this, this, and this, you'll get this. And he not only met that, he far exceeded that. And the value to the company and the value to the shareholders, the dude created value for everyone on a on the largest scale ever. But you just look at somebody that has like that, and I don't know, I just think it should be, you would think that president, 24/7 job compared to what somebody makes in Hollywood, what somebody makes at large corporations. And I view it, the U.S. more like a large corporation, right? And the top dogs and what they get. And you're looking at, anywhere 10 to 20 million probably for your very top companies like a GM or, that kind of stuff throwing out there. You're in that ballpark, but the president is at 500,000. Even a rep. Who wants to be a rep for $100,000, 125? You know what I mean? And paying them more. I don't know if paying them more would keep them from being corrupt. I don't think so.
No, no, they do it for the love of the game. They don't do it for the money. A good majority of them, I think. The higher ones.
They're not corrupt?
Oh, at that point, I think corrupt people do it for the love of the game, not necessarily.
Yeah, I think that the people,
because at that point, you got the money, then whatever. Might as well have some fun, do some corrupt shit, I guess.
Well, you got like the Nancy Pelosi's, who have made a shit ton of money outside based on information she got on the inside. Insider trading, basically. Okay. That kind of stuff. So I think it just lends more to that kind of stuff happening, or payments or corruption. Like I said, paying them more wouldn't stop it, but paying them what they do, paying them 125 or 100,000, whatever it is, fuck, man. Like, how do you just can't live? How do you even live in Washington, D.C. with that kind of money? I don't know what low means. Six figures doesn't go very far in Washington, D.C. And then you figure they're not there all the time, right? So they got to keep a place there and a place in their home district when they come back to the district, right? So you're going to operate 2 homes that on $100,000?
You do with what you got. I don't know. That's how I grew up. That's how I grew up. Just because you're up higher doesn't mean you got to make up excuses. Oh, I got a nice house and stuff. Nah, fuck that. Do your job. That's what you're there to do. Is your job.
But there's so many other better jobs that pay more. That's my point.
Then go do that job.
But then we don't get the best people.
And fix the system.
We absolutely do want to fix the system. It's broken. That everybody agrees. We just don't agree on the fix. Yeah. Musk is worth every penny.
I actually haven't heard a lot from Musk in the past. I'm not going to lie. The past few weeks.
Well, he got out of the line of fire.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, it was cool to be near the president and the power for a minute. But then, who the fuck needs that shit in their life every day? Trump feeds off that shit. Is this where we in DC?
Yeah, so 70 to 100,000 is where you have breathing, depending on lifestyle.
And that's without even having a family or kids. 70 to 100,000.
Yeah. Correct.
And that's just paying your bills and driving a Toyota.
Correct.
Basically, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's not taken into effect. That's just a general person.
Correct.
It's not taken into effect that somebody who's a newly elected representative and is 30 years old, that, you know, you got to have a place in your home district, and you don't want it to be somebody who's living in their mom's basement. Right? I would guess that would be a thing. You wouldn't want to vote for that person. Not me, anyways. But that is kind of interesting. You can just like search for stuff and just come up with great shit, random things like that, right? All right, let's go on to steroids. There's no good way to segue this. We're going to expensive Washington, D.C. to steroids. God. So I don't dislike this John in any way. He was commenting on somebody else's post that I'm Facebook friends with. And he is a former bodybuilder back in the day. So, you know, respect. But some of the things he said in this video, I really disagree with very, very strongly. So that's why I pulled it up. So it's not personal, but I see this a lot, and I just wanted to address it because it becomes an issue, and it's something that I care about a whole lot when we're talking about testosterone. And that also goes into, you know, performance-enhancing drugs. And to me, it's not just about people who compete. And that was one of my things here is, you know, there are a lot of people now who realize that the risks that they were told about when it comes to testosterone are really over-exaggerated. And especially after getting on TRT, that they realized that it was really exaggerated. And so they step into the world of running a cycle because they want to be even more fit or more jacked and not want to step on stage, which was me. That was me for years and years. I really didn't want to step on stage because I didn't want to put what it took to do that. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do the diet, honestly. I liked helping people that did. My best friend, I helped him with his program for a number of times, and I didn't do his diet, but I helped him with the protocols or what he would take. But that's, the diet's so fucking important, and I didn't want to eat tilapia a lot. He ate a lot of tilapia. So this came up. The audio's not really good, so I don't know. John needs to get hooked up with some microphones and stuff for posting the videos, but more importantly about what he's saying, and I challenged some of it, and then I looked it up, I researched it, and what he said, what he made reference to was true, but the conclusions are different. I have different conclusions, so let's start with that.
Steroids. I don't usually talk about steroids. It's a topic way in my past, but today I want to save some lives. I'm gonna give you some information, and hopefully it'll save some lives. You know, bodybuilders are dying every single week now. You see it. I see it on Facebook and Instagram. Every single week, a pro bodybuilder is dying. In the last 10 years, over 100 professional bodybuilders have died, and now it's happening every week because of the steroid abuse. You know, I started training when I was 10 years old. My dad got me into training. A lot of people know that. I started competing when I was 15. I trained naturally until I was 21, and then my coach took me to Dr. Ludwig, Dr. Arthur Ludwig in New York. It was legal to prescribe steroids at the time. He prescribed a clinical dose, which was 100 milligrams a deca per week, and then it went up to 200 milligrams. You know, it's and it was doctor monitored, and I used it only for several years for 10 to 12 week cycles a year until steroids became illegal in 1990, and I retired for two reasons. Number one, because they were illegal, and now what I was doing for a profession was illegal. Now it is, as of 1990, May 2nd actually, and also because the health risks, and it got out of control, it got out of hand. What was once 100 to 200 milligrams a week became 1,000, not for me, but for other bodybuilders, you know, going into the 90s, 1,000 milligrams and 2,000 milligrams. Now, talk to people that are taking thousands of milligrams plus growth hormone, synthol, tren, all these drugs that we never used, you know, because quite honestly, they weren't prescribed by the doctors, those drugs. But what's happened is drug abuse, you know, and I don't know how it's gotten to this point, because now training has become minimized, drug usage has become maximized, and these guys, instead of relying on quality training and knowledge, hard work and perseverance, it's all about drugs.
We could stop there for a second.
How much you take to get away with?
So, first of all, to start with, 100 milligrams to 200 milligrams of DECA without a base is not very smart. And if that's what he did during that period of time, wasn't bright by the doctor. It just wasn't a smart mix. I don't know if he got DECA dick out of that, but you definitely could, which just means your junk isn't going to work. That's what that means. Now, the part about the training, look, guys, now the problem with bodybuilding is you have these ginormous men, and are they likely taking large amounts of pharmaceuticals? Most of them, yes. But they're putting in the work, and the results of the work is just a large mass. And so you don't have the beauty and the symmetry that you had years and years ago. And I think the ones that best exemplify that today, as I said before, is like Chris Bumstead. Like I think he's phenomenal. That look, I think, is a great look. Just having muscle on top of muscle. But the idea that they can just do shit training and just get huge because they're taking such enormous amounts, it's just not the case. They have to do incredible eating to be able to do that with the drugs, and they have to put in the training to be able to get there. And they have to have the genetics, because there's a whole lot of people, in fact, probably a good majority of people, that could take those amounts and not become ginormous. Is it going to change their body or make them big? Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't have the genetics for that. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to use what I do to get to where I want to be, or that it can't be done healthy. That was a topic yesterday on somebody else's social media. He's suggesting that somebody couldn't be healthy. Well, how can I not be healthy? Because if you're doing more than just a TRT dose, I have 17 years of proof myself, and I have the proof of thousands of others that I've helped, that when you get the labs done like I've done, and I believe in doing it and doing it right, that absolutely, I've run these cycles, and I've gotten my labs on a cycle, and everything was perfect. I was taking things that some people would be considering toxic, and I had no issues with my liver or kidney, none. It's also because I don't drink anymore and haven't for over 16 years. There's a lot of other things people do that are unhealthy. So can you do this, and be healthy? Yes. Can people take this to an extreme and it be unhealthy? Absolutely. I'm not denying that, I checked the numbers. There was actually a study that was done on a period of time. That's where he got the number from. It was 121 bodybuilders that died, and 38% of them, it was related to a heart attack or some type of heart issue like that, right? And I'm telling you, well, first of all, bodybuilders aren't dying every week. And it may feel like that on his Instagram and Facebook because of who he interacts with on there. And that if you have 10 a year, which was what that average was, if you have 10 a year, it feels like every month you're talking about a different person. But 10 versus 52, big difference. Big difference. So are people dying? Yes. Are they dying because of the steroids? That study didn't prove that those people died from steroids. Those were people who died who were taking steroids, but there's no relationship between the two in that particular study, and they don't have one. They don't have a breakdown of that. And you have to know what is somebody's prior existing conditions they may have before they ever start to use. That would be important. What's their history? Did heart issues run in the family prior to them even taking it? That would be important to know. And also, I do believe there's an issue, and the issue is with these drugs, like one called DNP, which is what I put on the post with him, that these are drugs that greatly elevate the body temperature. Some people might be aware of, fat-burning supplements that used to actually work when they were over the counter. There used to be good ones. There's not really any good ones now. They used to work. They would raise your blood temperature, your body temperature slightly, but things like DNP, it's in another world. Comparing it also to clenbuterol, it's 100 times clenbuterol. Clenbuterol is way, way, way safer. And you don't know what amount of this DNP could be dangerous for somebody. So it's very, very, it's scary. And when you talk about somebody who is depleting their fat to a very, very low level, and then then depleting water as they get closer to a contest, and then raising their body temperature up during that period of time, that's going to cause some issues. It absolutely can cause some issues, and has. Insulin, I think, is another big one, that some of these deaths were related to insulin. And if it's not used properly, it can be very, very dangerous. So somebody doing it on their own without proper help should not be something you do. I have personally done IGF-1, which is much safer, but just using insulin like some of these have done, I haven't done that. So, if they want to change, I'm all for the change. I'm for the change of changing what wins in a bodybuilding show, so that it's not just mass that wins. And if you do that, then these people won't have to go to these extremes to get there. That would be very, very helpful. And I think it would be helpful in growing the sport as well. But the idea, I'm very leery of this kind of stuff, because this is a topic that we have a hard time talking about, that we have a hard time dealing with, especially because of low testosterone and testosterone replacement therapy now. It's becoming more and more common, and I'm glad that it is, because a lot of men are low T. It's an epidemic. There's an epidemic going on, that there's a crazy number of people. One of my clients, I wish I would have sent you the picture. I don't know if he sent it to me, but he posted it. of his son who he thought he was low T. They got him checked. He was, in fact, low T at around 240, 260, something like that on total testosterone. And that shouldn't have been a thing at his age. And he's been on testosterone now for 18 months at a TRT dose. And he's just physically been made over and better, his mother said, as a person. His mood is better, just everything, confidence, everything is better. And you can just see that even in the pictures. It's really, really amazing. It helped him grow up. Testosterone is what makes a man a man. And now we're talking about using it beyond that, and everybody has their opinions, and I respect it. I respect this John's opinion. But it's just that, it's his opinion. But I am going to push back when people exaggerate things like the number of people dying and then specifically blaming it on the steroids when you don't know what other things they may be taking. You know, how many of these athletes, bodybuilders who were taking these steroids were also on drugs for depression? What's the typical side effect for, or a side effect for people who take drugs for depression? Suicide. Any bodybuilders? I didn't look that up. Bodybuilders commit suicide? I wouldn't put that out there as something that hasn't happened. I wouldn't be, shocked at all to see that it has. But still, those just drugs in general, and they work against, they a lot of times will add weight to you, weight that you don't want. And so there you go. And so then they're fighting against that, and so they're upping their other drugs in relationship to that, when the real problem is they need to really address the underlying cause that they're having with the depression and dealing with that. And those drugs being used indefinitely are not a good thing. Being used temporarily because somebody needs some help, I get that. But that's not what happens a lot of times with a lot of these doctors. These people are doing it for long periods of time, and the results have not been great. And I really am so passionate about testosterone and the benefits of testosterone. And what happens is sometimes you want a little more. I did. I like being like this. I like being this fit. And I put in the work. Usually an hour and 15 minutes, sometimes a little bit more, each workout. Usually at least 5 days, many times 6 days a week, and occasionally 7. So I'm putting in the work. The diet, I still have a dessert now and then because I'm not competing like Dawn will be. But I monitor what I eat, what I put into my body, and I care about that. And I focus on it. I don't do the junk that I did before. And I didn't understand before how important the diet was early on. Excuse me. But now there's pretty much no excuse, I don't think. There's no excuse. Yeah, there's a lot of bad information, but there's a lot of good information too. And if you really want it bad enough, you can find it. And there's no excuses for not knowing or understanding. And sometimes you believe something for a little while, and then you find out something new, and it changes. It's a journey of learning and understanding, and experimenting. And I experiment so others don't have to. I've come up with ways that have worked for me and others, and adapted them. And I don't think there's just one right way to get it done. And people who push only one thing, only push being a vegan or only push, being carnivore. I've done everything but vegan, pretty much, and vegetarian, because I just don't like that many vegetables, to be honest. I just wouldn't be able to do it. But I know that about me. And some people, just can't do it without carbs. They'd rather not. I've done it with carbs and without carbs, and I felt better without carbs. And other people are the exact opposite. Either way, you could make it work. But how do you feel? What are the results that you actually get? I think are so important. And why would you want to do this if you're not going to want to compete? Well, I'm not the only one. And I think people are greatly underestimating how many people are out there doing it. And here's the thing, because they're telling you they're on TRT. They're just not telling you they're taking more than TRT, and they are in many cases. And then when they're not doing that, then, of course, doing the TRT dose. There's a lot of that out there. But why? Because we like the look. We like the way it makes us feel. The confidence, body. We have our reasons. No different than somebody has reasons. A woman has reasons for, getting tummy tucks and boob jobs. We choose to do this, and there's a healthy way to do it. And I know that's my thing. People are going to do it no matter what John says. They're going to do it. And then so my thing is, how can we help them do it right? How can we get them on the right track at the beginning, getting labs and stuff done? Because a lot of people years ago, that's not a thing they did. Most of these guys that got on it when they were in college and played football, and then they end up overweight later in life and have low T, and they never got off the steroids correctly, and all that other kinds of happy horse shit. Those guys, they need help. And I help them. I help them do things the right way. And doing things the wrong way can certainly have more repercussions. I try to dissuade. Because I do get this on my TikTok. I'll get some young people that'll message me, and they're thinking about doing different peptides, and peptides are great and everything. But look, how old are you? How much do you weigh? How long you been seriously working out in the gym? 6 months. How about you put another 1.5 years in before you even think about this? So I try to dissuade the very youngest people, unlike, but then you have the Johns out there. You do have young people that do want to compete, but still, I think your base, you want to build your base, and that's just me personally, as much as you can naturally. See what you can really, really get. And I did that up till around 39 years old, 40. What could I get naturally? And then how could I take myself to the next level, and which is I've done since then. But having people do it right and getting labs done and getting things checked, I think that's the thing we need to do out there. Telling people that they don't need to do 2,000 grams, as he was talking about. No, you don't. Or, I'm sorry, 2,000 milligrams, 2 grams. So, yeah, telling people that. I think it's good to give people alternatives. I dissuade people, again, on something like he mentioned Trend, and that, it wasn't as prominent, or he didn't use it. I get people that in their first couple cycles will ask about, well, don't you think I should add? No, I don't. I don't think you should do the strongest thing from the get-go. That you need to work your way up. And that's just differing opinions. But I do push back when it's talking about the deaths and blaming it specifically on these types of peds. Let's do a little bit more.
fluid, body fluid, because a lot of it's water retention. What can I get away with? And it's mind-boggling, really, when you think about it. See, if you have a headache, or think about if you have a headache, what do you take? You take Tylenol, you take aspirin. What do you take? Two Tylenol, 2 aspirin, because that's the recommended dosage. So let me ask you a question. If you take 2 Tylenol and 2 aspirin, why not take 20 Tylenol or 20 aspirin? Wouldn't the headache go away 10 times faster? No, it wouldn't go away 10 times faster. You get 10 times the side effects from the drug.
All right, we can stop there again, obviously. That's assuming that you're going to have side effects. But no, you should not take that many aspirin or Tylenol. It would just be stupid. But you can also take 4 ibuprofen. They have ibuprofen, 800. You need a prescription for that, but you don't need a prescription for the 200s. So you can take 4 and get the 800 and do that without a prescription. And I'm not talking just about the headaches that he's referring to. That usually didn't work for me for headaches. But I don't get a lot of those anyways. But it's a bad comparison. And here's why it's a bad comparison. Your body doesn't make Tylenol. Your body doesn't make aspirin. Your body makes testosterone. And sometimes it doesn't do a good job of it. Your body makes growth hormone. But as you age, or you can have other issues that it's not making as much as it should, or it could just be with age that it declines. But your body makes it. That's a whole lot different of putting something into your body that it already is making. Even if you're doing it in bigger doses, that's still way different than putting something in your body that it doesn't make. So I don't like the comparison between those two. And if you're going to say 20 Tylenol, you should say 20 times the effects. Excuse me, not the 10 that he said there. But that's just not the case. You may not experience any side effects. And there are people that experience side effects on TRT in low doses that, that taking the lower dose that experience them. You just don't know. Last night, somebody on one of my videos, one of my more popular videos, posted that he had to get off of TRT because he was having prolactin issues, and that prolactin is very similar to high estrogen, where you'll feel something around the breast nipple area, and you may even get a little lactating. Well, why not address that? Why not address the prolactin issue versus just coming off testosterone completely, especially if you're legitimately low T? And that's my point of view on that. It's that important. A lot of people aren't going to want to do more, but some cases they do. And when they do, there still is a right way to do it and not die. And the way to not die is to do the things to eat healthy, don't drink, exercise, get 7 to 8 hours sleep. It's all the tried and true things. You still have to do those. Taking these drugs doesn't mean you don't have to do these other things. They don't make up for it in that way at all. Those are the bigger factors in your life expectancy and how long you're going to live. And another huge one is muscle. So retaining muscle as you get older is really, really hard, but it's really, really important. And if a little testosterone can help you do that, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I will be taking testosterone the rest of my life. And I expect to live to be 95 and dead in the grave. 95 is my expectation. I don't know why I've always had that stuck in my head. Let's hear a little bit more, because we'll just finish with this dude today.
The dosage, the clinical dosage to try to win a trophy or or try to win a bodybuilding contest, or now at the upper levels, prize money. But what's it worth? Is it worth your life? I thank God that I had doctors. It was prescribed. It was controlled. I had to have blood work and blood tests, and if my blood work was abnormal, the doctor would not prescribe the drug that week because you had to get it from the doctor. Times have changed, but bodybuilding has changed. The physiques of the 70s and 80s and early 90s, they were carved, they were sculpted, they were tiny waist, beautiful shape. It was incredible. Not anymore. People are dying. People are dying to have massive, morphed, quite honestly, ugly physiques. A lot of the Olympia level competitors, the Open Olympia, they are ugly physiques, wide-waisted, ugly physiques, varicose veins, and just ugly. The classic physique better, but it's obvious they're not using as much drugs or abusing the drugs.
All right.
The open
So I agree with quite a bit of that. And as far as the more modern physiques at the upper levels, I get that. I agree with that. This thing on varicose veins is just quite honestly dumb and wrong. It has nothing to do with that. Dawn has that issue, and she has to see a doctor, every so often. They pull those varicose veins out. They pull them out of your body. It's not caused by doing the steroids. That's not the reason that somebody has that. It's, it's a condition that people have had for a long, long time that's not related. Just go to anywhere where you see a bunch of blue hairs that might be wearing short pants or shorts, and you'll see some varicose veins, right? And it is good to go to the doctor and get that fixed, to have that pulled out, but it's not related to the steroids. So I get where he's coming from as far as the physiques, and I agree with that and what people like and the future. But yeah, some of this other side comments, I don't I don't agree with at all. But that's his opinion and mine. You can take whichever one you prefer. Decide what you want to do. All right. Last thing. New, what did we find it was? Atlas? Is that
The
what
web browser?
The web browser?
Mhm.
New web browser is available called Atlas, that is powered by ChatGPT. And then what was the one, did you say, what was Google's? That's their, yeah, we can't hear you.
I unmute myself.
Yeah, but that's just their regular AI.
Okay.
Because here's the difference. When you pull up Google right now, Google is the same as it's always been, which is going to give you the list of the different things that it pulled up based on the question that you asked.
So technically, Chrome is Google's quote unquote web browser, but AI is implemented into Chrome.
But what it's
So Gemini is their
okay.
AI. Gemini is integrated into Chrome.
Okay, but you're still getting, are you getting something that is giving you short overview answer like you get with ChatGPT first?
You can. Yeah. So anytime you type anything into Google, or whatever, it pulls you into. So there's you can do the regular search, image, news, blah blah blah, or you can do AI mode.
So you'd have to move to the AI mode.
Yeah, it's very just a simple tab.
But that AI mode is it using their most advanced AI or it's not?
I believe it's one of those things where depending on your subscription or whatever, will be using the different types of.
It was just interesting because they were talking about it on Patrick Bet David and what a disruptor the open AI may be now.
Yeah.
And monies and searches and ad revenue is what the real focus was. And Google stock went down a couple percent already.
Bob Moore saying, or any ultimate runner. Got Bob
What's
watching the stream. Bob Moore.
All right, Bob. What was the?
He said, I think he was referring to when you were talking about the steroids.
Oh,
he said,
yeah.
or any ultra runner.
That is him. He is a fantastic runner. I wish I could do just a little bit
Of what he does, yes.
Yeah, just I told you I wanted to do it, but I sucked.
Yeah, shout out Bob. Honestly, that is crazy to me to this day.
It takes the guys that do that. There's something about that. That David Goggins shit.
Yes. But sorry,
And-
what
but
were you asking about
that's all
the
right.
browser?
Well, because they were really making a big deal out of this and how this could have a serious impact on Google and Google's ability to make money over the next 5 years or so with ad revenue.
I really don't think so. I mean, I get what they're saying and where they're coming from, but I mean,
I don't think I have enough information.
I was doing some research when we were talking about it, and I think it was like, almost 70% of the world just uses Google. Just not whether or not they're intentionally using it or whatever. Just 70% of people use Google.
Mm-hmm.
So people are always going to be naturally drawn into, because it's the comfort zone, right? It's everyone's comfortable with Google. Everyone understands Google. I mean, they're not far off from ChatGPT. Like I said, I mean, all companies have basically the same amount of AI. They just structure it differently, like the way it looks. So in my opinion, I really can't see Google really losing that much money in ad revenue, especially when they're keeping up with everyone else. In my opinion, could be wrong, but
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to dig in deeper what they were saying about that then, because it just kind of, I use it different. I don't really use the web browser like that. In fact, I'm using even the Chat GPT or Grok even differently now. I'll give you a good example that I'd never done before, and I've done a couple times now, and I'll probably continue to do. So instead of going to Ticketmaster and finding tickets or SeatGeek or whoever, I put in what's the best way to get tickets for a particular event.
okay.
And that way I know, are tickets available that are just available and not from resellers.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll search that and do that. We're going to go to the Arizona State game Saturday.
Okay, nice.
Against Houston. Yeah, we decided to do that, and they've been sold out the last 5 games, and this one is sold out. So finding tickets in a good area under a certain amount, and so I didn't have to search all the different places that sell it, and it found them on Vivid, and I gave it some parameters to do that. And I've made mistakes before where I didn't know the stadium that well, where I ended up on a bench seat, especially in a college stadium.
Oh, gotcha.
The bench,
Gotcha. Yeah.
with no backs.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can rent the seats to clip onto them, but then that's another $15 each, another 30. So, but there are like seats there. So I told it I wanted seats, not bench seats, that kind of stuff. And then it, ultimately when I was done asking the question, narrow it down, it could provide me a direct link, like not just a direct link to Vivid, which is where I pushed the tickets, but the actual tickets themselves. I didn't have to search for that particular set of tickets. It just provided it for me.
Yeah.
And then I thought, parking. How can I get out of the stadium? Okay, how close can I get to the stadium?
Like park at the stadium to be able to leave.
And then be able to leave as best as I can and not be, blocked in.
Yeah.
And what lot is best? And we had to go through a bunch there, but I found it. And I got the parking for that. And I put how far, so I think I put initially, a half mile or less walk.
Okay.
And didn't really get what I needed, so I extended it to 3/4, and it came up with something that was 0.6 of a mile. And that fit my parameters on being able to get out and where I should park inside the lot. And because initially it was giving me parking structures, And I was like, I don't really want structures because I could get stuck in the structure.
Okay.
You know, depending on when you get there. If you get there later, if you're not there early, you're going to be maybe 4 floors up, right? And you're stuck trying to get from the 4th just even onto the road, right?
Okay.
So I didn't want that. So I wanted a flat surface. So putting those parameters in, and it was just so much better and so much easier. And then, you know, directions to the parking lot, because I don't know how many times I've tried to find a certain lot. We were having that trouble with the Cardinals games for a minute, but now we know where to get off, where to turn, and it's super, super easy now.
Mm-hmm.
But it took 3 or 4 times to really get that all worked out and figured out, parking literally at the stadium like that.
Yeah.
And then where to park at the stadium so that we can get out quickly too. We've got it mapped out now. It's good. But here, I didn't have to do any of that. It just did it all for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. So even different way to buy tickets. That's how I'm using that. Just your regular web browser, then I don't use that much other than to put in probably a web address that I already know that I'm going to. I don't use it much for searching. Very little for searching. All the searching is done on an AI now, and then go from there. I just find it to be easier, better, just better results in that case. So, but people, get using shit at whatever level you can so you don't get left behind, because this is going to be important stuff, all right? Things are going to change so motherfucking fast. So fast. But I'm all for seeing what it can do and what it can help with. All right. Not the greatest show today, but that's on me. Sometimes. All right. That's it. That's all I got. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap